to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest, Anaheim City Council Woman Kris Murray. Welcome.
Good morning, Ron. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. You got to love this one. It is National Pina Colada Day today. Yeah, that's enough. We don't have to. It's a little early for a pina colada. Well, I guess if we were in the right location, it's never too early for a pina colada. Moving right along, Dow Jones Industrial Average up 25 points. Oil up 34 cents a barrel. U.S. 10-year Treasury down a little bit, 2.368. I mention that obviously because it's important to our seniors. It is also that number that drives our mortgage market, so we like to follow that one as well. Moving into the news this morning, boy, is there a lot of news coverage from the weekend, especially with the president being overseas and dealing with the G20, or as some of our liberal friends call it, the G19. I find it fascinating to see how they look at the president and they say, being that he did not follow suit, being that he's not playing follow the leader, although I'm not sure that would be called follow the leader, that it's wrong. Now think about this. We're supposed to pay $100 billion for climate change so that the other countries can work on doing exactly what we're already doing here. Yet when the president says, no, we're not going to stay in this agreement, well, he's the one that's out of step. Wonder how that works. When our trade deficit is upside down and the president says we're going to renegotiate some of these, he's out of step. I didn't hear anybody offer to say, okay, the United States, we'll give you the exact same deal that China and India have. I wonder why that would be. Maybe it's because they look at it and say, if the U.S. isn't going to foot the bill, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't all 19 other countries vote for the U.S. to foot the bill for their citizens? Now remember, whenever we say the U.S. footing the bill, that does not mean that that's some being that we're $20 trillion in debt, it might be some obscure area. But it's the U.S. taxpayer. They don't want to say it that way. The U.S. taxpayer is footing the bill. So that's the issue right there. Speaking of footing the bill, someone finally paying the price. Think about this one, and I love seeing this story to share it with you this morning. 500 government employees fired from the Veterans Administration. 500. And I'm going to say that's a good one.
So I know whose ass to kick.
Yeah, think about this. These are people that were apparently not doing their job. 22 senior leaders, 70 nurses, all these folks being fired because they're not taking care of our veterans the way they're supposed to. And since we've got the executive order that allows for the VA to finally fire the people that are not taking care of our veterans, I think it's a great coup. Well, I shouldn't say coup because the liberals won't like that. Moving right along. Health care bill. Gotta love watching this health care bill. Now, 7 years, the Republicans have been saying we want to repeal Obamacare. Yeah, think about that.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Well, maybe the Republicans in Congress should have been thinking about what would we do if we ever, have you ever fantasized? I mean, I know that there's people that will, they buy lottery tickets. Now, anybody that buys a lottery ticket knows the likelihood of them winning is very, very slim. But have you ever had a conversation and said, if I won, I might do this, or if I had that much money, I might do that? Well, don't you think the Republicans in Congress might have done, maybe they fantasized that if they ever had that Congress, if they ever had the House, the Senate, the White House, that maybe what they would have done? Well, apparently they weren't smart enough to figure that out. Now, I understand. I was listening this morning and over some of the Sunday shows. I get it why John McCain is saying that the bill is dead. I mean, John McCain taking funding now from George Soros. Yeah, he's the one that also funds President Obama. Just think about that concept. It makes me sick when I think about it. But that is what's happening now. And then you have on the other side of the coin, you've got Rand Paul. He and his dad, I don't think they've ever found anything that they could compromise on. Just amazes me that, I get it. We don't have 60 votes in the Senate to do exactly what they want. So let's do absolutely nothing instead of doing something that might help the American people. Now, no one in the media wants to talk about the fact that 28 million Americans are about to lose their health care if the Congress does nothing. Now, 22 million, according to the CBO, are going to be liberated. They're not going to have to buy health care. They're not going to be forced. But 28 million are not going to have the opportunity to buy health care because there's no one offering it in their states, in their municipalities. Think about that concept. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. Moving right along. Fiduciary rule is now in effect. What the heck does that mean? Well, I guess we should call Gomer and ask him.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Is it amazing that they had to come out with a law, with a ruling, that is going to force financial advisors to do what's in the best interest of their clients?
You're absolutely useless.
Yeah, you would have thought that was the case right along. Now, I can tell you this, at Merrill Lynch, when I was there in the late 90s, the comment at Merrill Lynch was, 3 parties make money on every could make money on every transaction. It could be the broker, it could be the house, and it could be the client. And 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I guess my boys fell asleep on that one. Yeah, there they are. So think about that concept. Now we're saying that they've got to look at what is in the best interest of the client. Now, I have told you many, many times that looking at price alone is totally a poor way of determining what's in your best interest. If you say, I've had many people say, well, why would you ever want to have an insurance contract for your retirement plan? The insurance company is making a lot of money. And that is correct. They do make a lot of money. But who's the biggest landowner in nearly every city? You've got the top 3, U.S. government, Catholic Church, and insurance companies. They're not the names on the building, but you go to the county recorder's office, that's who owns these massive buildings. Now, if you can get them to be managing your money for you and there are tax benefits to it, why do you worry about how much it costs you? What should be most important to you is how much money you get at the end of the day, after you pay all the fees. Now, let me ask you this simple question. I know that you can go to Charles Schwab or one of those online places and pay $5.95 or $7.95 a trade. Got it. Now, the statistics say that you're going to underperform the market when you manage your own money. That's just statistics. Maybe you're killing it. I don't know. Some people will confuse a bull market for being a great stock picker. I know that happens. It happens all the time. But here's the question mark. If I said that you can get 10% return and it's going to cost you 10% fees to do it, does it matter to you? Why is it that the wealthiest of Americans will go to a hedge fund that charges 20% of whatever they make? Why is it that they do that? Well, it's because they realize that it doesn't matter what you pay, it matters what you keep, what you get in your account. That's the important part. Fiduciary rule, make sure you're watching every issue of that. That's some interesting statistics that I just was taking a look at. This one came in and ties in wonderfully with our guest this morning, because our guest this morning helped us save the July 4th celebration here in Anaheim Hills. Americans spend $7.1 billion on 4th of July food. Now, I ate my share of it. I'll go on record in saying that. That's according to AAA. 44.2 million Americans travel 50-plus miles from home for the 4th of July. The National Retail Federation reports 65.5% will participate in a cookout after buying all of the fixings. The average American will spend $73.42. I think I did that on wine, but that's okay. We'll continue on. I thought that was pretty fascinating information. Grill Masters handled 190 million pounds of ground beef. That was $388 million. $389 million on chicken. 150 million hot dogs. That leads, and that doesn't even count Nathan's, I don't think, but that's just some great information there. More moving right along. I found this one fascinating as well. I don't know whether I should get into this or not, but I will. What the heck? This is a new study that came out from creditcard.com. Creditcard.com. Are you ready for this one? They looked at who does the tipping and who are the most efficient tippers. Creditcards.com is the study. Republicans, Northeasterners, credit card and debit card users, they are the winners. That's the issue that came through creditcards.com. Of the groups, a median of 20% when dining at a restaurant, according to creditcards.com. The other end of the spectrum, that was men tip 20% is what they say. Women tip a median of 16%. Democrats and Southerners who pay in cash tip 15%. So if you want to work in a restaurant, don't go to a Democrat precinct in the South. It probably is not the area for you. We'll get more into this. There's a lot in this study, but I want to get onto our topics today. That fun study right there. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, we got some fire. Well, I guess we can't say fireworks in Anaheim Hills, but we got some fireworks to talk about today. There's a lot going on in the Anaheim area. What's the mayor up to this time, and could it be coming to a city near you? There is an epic housing shortage being reported. We'll talk about it. Major lending changes means it's easier to get a mortgage. I'll talk about that, and some money mistakes new graduates are making. We'll talk about that one as well. You can reach us anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, and on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
What if your family business could help clothe a less fortunate family? Or your restaurant could feed truly hungry people? What if you could help to comfort the lonely? Plant sustainable resources where nothing has ever grown before? Or make a child's lifelong wish come true? What if all you had to do was simply do nothing more than what your business already does every day? Would you do it? Introducing Processing for a Cause, a unique program that turns a percentage of your business's credit card volume into ongoing donation dollars for nonprofit organizations and foundations. Simply switch your credit card processing provider to Processing for a Cause and begin supporting a worthy cause today. The process is simple, and the cause will change lives forever. Processing for a Cause.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, MLS 21037, and DRE number 0186945.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission. Lending partners will give a credit at closing. The title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. Reasons why you should not try to sell your home on your own. And we talked last week about the idea that now we're at about 27 days is the average days on market for real estate right now. Why is that? Most people, because professionals know what they're doing. And whenever we get to these points where we've got home prices rising and a lack of inventory, people decide, well, I think I'm going to try and do it on my own. And here's a few reasons that might not be the best idea for you. Number one is exposure to prospective buyers. 94% of buyers search online for a home. Do you have a strategy? Results come from the internet. Where did buyers find the homes they actually purchased? 51% on the net, 34% real estate agent, 8% yard sign, and the newspapers, yep, they're out. 1%. There are too many people to negotiate with. And I've talked to you about this before. Are you prepared? Are you qualified to negotiate? The buyer, the buyer's agent, the escrow company, title company, home inspectors, appraisers. Probably not most people. And it's become more and more difficult. There's a lot of paperwork involved. 8% share represents the lowest recorded figure since National Association of Realtors began collecting data. People are not buying from one another. Now, if it's from within a family, that's a different story. And the fifth and maybe the most important reason, you're going to net more money when you use a real estate agent. So you get to do all the work on your own for less money. Does that make any sense at all? If you have any questions about this or want to see the full report, we did post the entire report on Ron Siegel Radio on our Facebook page. You can just go right there and grab the report. That is the real-time real estate segment, again, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. So we got some very fascinating information, commentary over the weekend, and we're good enough or lucky enough to have Kris Murray be able to come in and chat with us and give us some background on this. Welcome, Kris.
Well, good morning. Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. Kris is a council member with the Anaheim City Council. So we saw this article, Kris, and it comes we'll give some attribution to Anaheim Blog. They came out with an article that the mayor covertly, my word, maybe not theirs, covertly is going to the Orange County Fire Authority about possibly taking over Anaheim Fire Department. And this isn't something the whole council is involved in?
No, it's unfortunately a matter that came to light through third-party sources. So at our last meeting on June 20th, I asked for the item to be agendized at our next meeting, which is tomorrow, Tuesday night, and have a full public discussion on what communications have occurred, who they occurred with, whether our city manager and fire chief were involved, which since I agendized it, we've learned they were not. So very concerning. We have a very sophisticated full-service department that's more than 160 years old, largest city in Orange County, vast number of very specialized services they provide to our very unique challenges in Anaheim. So it definitely needs to be a public discussion before any steps are undertaken to look into contracting out our department.
So does the mayor have the authority to make a change like that on his own?
No, he does not. No independent member of the council does. We have many safeguards in place, but first and foremost, we have a city manager form of government in Anaheim, and the voters have reaffirmed our charter every 10 years for decades and have never sought to have a mayor form the running of our city to be by a political office holder. So we are advisory in nature only, the mayor and the council, and there really is no authority for him to seek this independently, but he did reach out to the fire chief of Orange County Fire Authority, who the city has always had a great cooperative relationship with, and asked him to start discussions and negotiations with the union that represents our firefighters.
So this is going to tie into what we were going to chat about, because I'm learning a lot as you're speaking. This is going to tie into our next segment, that if it's through the city manager and now the mayor wants to get rid of the city manager.
Yeah, unfortunately, that came up very late on Friday afternoon. The council was unaware, the city staff was unaware. It's caused a lot of alarm at City Hall. The mayor agendized an item for closed session discussion to consider removing our city manager without cause and without any public oversight. So that will be also heard tomorrow.
This sounds almost like a coup.
Well,
I'll say that. I'm not going to put you on the spot with that one.
I'm not going to characterize, but the city manager, there are 4 positions that report directly to the city council. Those are the only offices or positions in the city that the city council has authority to hire or remove, and the city manager is one of them. And if the mayor has 4 votes, he could remove the city manager without any warning. And sadly, it would be the 4th city manager that has been removed in 6 years, or that we've lost in the city of Anaheim. It causes major disruption to our staff, to the 2,000 individuals who serve the residents of Anaheim, the businesses of Anaheim, our visitors. It causes a lot of disruption and uproar at City Hall, and it's just really unfortunate that this may be imminently on the horizon.
It just seems baffling to me, because Anaheim has so much going on, and I think next week, I think the fire chief is actually going to be in with us. Didn't have any idea that this was going to be part of our conversation. We probably might not even talk about it, but the city of Anaheim Fire Department really does a lot of very innovative and leading edge projects.
No, and it's important to note the fire chief reports to the city manager, not to the city council. Both the city manager and the fire chief were not consulted before these discussions started on the contracting out of, or even consideration of contracting out our department. But that being said, for our residents and those listening to know, we have one of 46 Class 1 fire departments, internationally accredited ISO Class 1 fire departments in the country, out of thousands of departments.
One out of 46.
One of 46. We have full range of services that include the wildland services to protect the areas of the hills. We have emergency medical. We also have a healthcare mobile unit that services our low-income residents and relieves the pressures on the emergency rooms and ambulatory services. We have extensive fire and life safety programs, community risk reduction and prevention programs, homeland security, which is a major consideration in our tourism areas and in the downtown parts of the city. Our department,
which is a bit different than a lot of cities.
Involved.
I mean,
right.
Anaheim's, when you talk about homeland security issues, with all due respect to every other city in the county,
right.
Anaheim's a much bigger target than maybe Ladera Ranch.
No, we're a preeminent target from that standpoint. There is an organization called the Urban Area Security Initiative that Anaheim is a major part of for Southern California to protect our residents and our visitors and our businesses and our workers from potential homeland security threats. Anaheim is one of the oldest cities in Orange County. It is the largest now by population city in Orange County, and we have really unique neighborhood needs, very unique demographic needs, geographic needs, and while I have incredible respect for OCFA, the Orange County Fire Authority, and their personnel. We work side by side with them whenever there's an impact that is related to fire and rescue in the county. But we need to keep local control in Anaheim of our fire department and the services it provides to the residents of Anaheim. So I do not support moving in this direction.
Well, when I've talked to the fire representatives, and obviously I speak to them on radio regularly, we try and get them in here at least once a quarter, and then with some of the other community areas, a lot of people don't recognize what Anaheim Fire and Rescue does with the free services, the homeland safety checks they do for our seniors.
Correct.
Right, giving away free smoke detectors and CO2 detectors
Many
for our
specialized services,
right?
For each of our demographic needs. But certainly, yes, for seniors, they benefit from those home checks, from the security checks, from replacing of the smoke detectors, and just making sure that they stay safe. You bet.
And really, when you think about it, I mean, I'm sure that comes out of a city budget somewhere. I don't know where it comes from.
Anaheim Fire and Rescue budget every year, a balanced budget in Anaheim that we're very proud of.
But it would be very difficult to say, okay, we want to continue, and the last number I heard was like 10,000 fire smoke detectors a year. How do you even contemplate doing something if you're part of a big conglomerate?
Well, that would be the fundamental change. And so instead of having our own department and control over our local services and the nimble ability to shift resources where they're needed year to year, we would become one of 25 member agencies of a county authority, and we would be incumbent on interacting with that board of directors to try to make sure services are adjusted to reflect the needs of our residents. But there's no guarantee they would happen on an annual basis or indefinitely.
Well, and one of the questions I have, and hopefully the council will get to the bottom of it, is, I know that the Anaheim, when I've talked to the chief of Anaheim, if there's a event that's in Orange, a border city,
right,
they actually communicate now with Orange County Fire Authority to whoever's the closest unit. They use technology to get the closest unit, regardless of city.
No, we provide an awful lot of relief services and support services to other departments, and other departments support us as well. But from dispatch services, tomorrow night we even have another item on the agenda to provide additional dispatch services to the County Fire Authority. So it's kind of ironic that on the same agenda, while we're voting to approve additional services to help our colleagues at the county, we're also going to discuss discussions that have occurred to date to potentially turn over all of our department services to the county.
It's amazing information. It's something, now I'm going to share something I know that Kris can't share with you. You're going to have to go and show up at the city council meeting, because last time there was a question mark when you just sent emails or voicemails or letters. The mayor basically said that that's just a political ploy and discounted all the letters that were sent from people. So go and show up to the city council meeting. Where is the city council meeting and time?
So it's the City Council meets twice a month, but look at the agenda because it's not every 2 weeks. It's anaheim.net, and it's down on Anaheim Boulevard, 200 South Anaheim Boulevard. It meets at 5 o'clock, so that's public comment, starts right at 5 o'clock. You can put your name in, and you'll have a secure spot in the line of speakers. But if you don't have the opportunity, because it is a time when many people are getting off work and feeding their families, if you do send an email, at least your council colleagues and the mayor will read it to council@anaheim.net, council@anaheim.net, and then your comments will at least be relayed to the city council.
Relayed, and some individuals might even discount them, but send them anyway, and then show up as well. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, more with Anaheim City Councilwoman Kris Murray. Major lending changes, easier to get a mortgage. We'll talk about it. And 5 biggest money mistakes new grads are making, all that and more. Remember, you can reach us anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details. 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender, licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-9090. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Do you own real estate or have assets over $150,000? Do you know one of your heirs will be the probate courts and the IRS? If you don't have a living trust, you will go through probate. Call Heritage Financial Services toll free at 1-855-434-7400 for a free review. Check us out on Facebook, Heritage Financial Service in Lake Forest, California. That's 1-855-434-7400. Again, 1-855-434-7400.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by Gold Star Mortgage. When you're ready for the fast pass approval, no pre-approval there, give me a call at 800-306-1990. I'll put you in touch with our friends at Gold Star, and you can get that fast pass approval. No loan contingencies required when you are approved. The two major lending changes they just started, and they're going to affect the ability of getting a mortgage. It should be a little bit easier, although we'll see what happens. The first is the three major credit rating agencies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, are going to drop tax liens and civil judgments from some consumers' profiles if the information is not complete. And that's something that's been required for a long time, but they're going to actually start doing it now. You've got to have the person's name, address, and either a date of birth or social security number. And a lot of the liens and judgments are not complete with all of that information. About 220 million Americans with a credit profile, approximately 7% have liens or civil judgments against them. Scores could go up by as much as 20 points, which doesn't mean that it's any better credit risk. It just means the scores are going to go up. So that might be a big issue right there. Now, I know that this one comes up all the time. 20% of consumers, according to these reports, have at least one mistake on their 3 credit reports. I'm here to tell you there is not one credit report I have seen in the last 25 years that's 100% accurate. I have not seen one. Every single one has an error on it. Now, I don't look at every report, but I can tell you this, I've looked at a lot of them. Every single one has an error on it. I'll show it to you within about 30 seconds, I can point them out to you. Now, here's the other issue that's going to help people. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are allowing borrowers to have higher levels of debt and still qualify for a home loan. The 2 agencies are raising their debt-to-income ratio limits to 50% of pre-tax income and 45% for the others. That's a big issue right there. Their claim is it's to help the people that have student loan debt. But again, it might be might just be something, another gotcha. So be very careful, be prudent, watch your budget. Even though you can afford it, that doesn't mean it's smart for your budget, or maybe just because you're approved doesn't mean it's smart for your budget. Take a look at your lifestyle, see what makes sense for you. That is the Your Credit Matters segment. Again, brought to you by Gold Star Mortgage. Get that fast pass approval. Continuing our conversation, Anaheim City Councilwoman Kris Murray is with us. We're chatting about, well, you have a lot going on in the City Council coming up.
We do, yeah.
It's just came off of a great event, and obviously I'm a resident of Anaheim Hills, so I can say thank you for all your efforts on keeping July 4th here in spite of what some of your colleagues in the council did to us.
Well, fortunately, thanks to the leadership of the Anaheim Hills Community Council and many, many wonderful sponsors, we were able to make sure the festivities went as planned.
Yeah, it was a great day for a lot of people. So let's talk a little bit about the city manager now. That's another issue. I mean, you said we've had, 6 city managers?
This would be, if this one's removed, we would have 5 in 6 years.
5 in 6 years.
Right.
Sounds like, I don't know. City Council, now the City Council hires a city manager?
So yes, the City Council has actually 3 direct appointees now. We used to have a treasurer, but that has been folded into another department. But we have the city manager, the city attorney, and the city clerk are the 3 positions in Anaheim that report to the City Council, where we have responsibility for hiring and termination. And it just takes a majority of the council to remove any of them. They are all considered at will.
So it's the old story that they serve at the pleasure of the council, so they can be terminated any time for any reason or no reason.
Correct. But this item that's been scheduled by the mayor for Tuesday was added to the agenda very late on Friday. It has taken city staff and his council colleagues completely by surprise. I would say the level of alarm at City Hall is pretty significant right now. Department heads and city staff don't know what their future holds, and they're very, very concerned. Paul Emery's, our current city manager, has done a phenomenal job under his tenure, and even with some of the acrimony that's gone on politically, he has really steadied the ship and made sure that we're balancing our budget, we're restoring services, including police. We've added 40 new police officers in the last 4 years, adding a fire station back, building up our fire personnel, and most recently a topic that's of great concern to so many residents is our homeless issue. And under Paul's leadership and our assistant city manager, Christine Ridge, they put in place a program where we not only enforce our anti-camping policies and take steps to protect public rights-of-way, but we have simultaneously put a program in place that really works with the homeless on an individualized basis to get them the services they need to become housed again. And so we have, in the last 3 years, provided the assistance to get 800 formerly homeless individuals in Anaheim into permanent housing or reconnected with family members, but they are off the streets. And so we have a lot of success. These are concurrent tracks. Paul has been the leader, the city manager, in getting that program up into fruition.
No, there's a bit of a maybe not conflict, but confusion, I think, in terminology sometimes, is the issue of camping and how that relates to homelessness.
Right.
So camping is not like if I want to take my Boy Scout troop over to a local park and camp for the weekend.
But even still, you need a permit to do that,
Okay.
so that the resources are there from the city if you're needed. So that's why we ask for permits, is so the city's aware that that's happening, and if services are needed, the city can be of assistance. The anti-camping policies that the council and with the leadership of the city manager have enforced for the last few years are about protecting public rights of way. So when homeless encampments start, you don't just deal with the blight and the health and safety issues of having sort of that collected human impact and lack of restrooms and lack of clean water and all of those other things, trash and debris, but we have some other unintended consequences that go along with that are usually criminal in nature. So human trafficking, drug use, prostitution, which goes with human trafficking, but a number of other issues that would be harmful to the public and harmful to the homeless individuals as well. So we implemented an anti-camping policy in Anaheim in conjunction with CityNet, which does the services and outreach to the homeless, because we are providing services to those who want them. The city is there to assist.
Which is a big point, because there's some that don't want any change. They want to be just left alone.
They want the independence of that lifestyle. We also have a number of parolees that are ending up in our homeless encampments because of state propositions 47 and 57, and prior to that a state bill called AB 109 that was the early release of our prison population.
So there's a big issue there. That's and I know when they name some of these different issues, that's why I saw anti-camping, and I understood that it was the concept of homeless.
Right.
So there's two completely different tracks. And now I understand when you talk about even with the kids, and if it's a Boy Scout troop or a Girl Scouts or whatever, if they see a campfire, well, we want the fire department to know that they're there just in case. They can be prepared.
No, it's to make sure the city is aware and has services available if needed, for sure.
And that's a big issue. Now, the other part of it is, obviously, when you start looking at the homeless issues, then you start looking and saying, okay, there's certain parks that you can't allow your kids to even walk in.
Right. So, and our children, we're finding, everything from human defecation to discarded needles and drug paraphernalia, and other, with mourning, I won't get into specifics, but remnants of things that showed that there was sexual activity in the area, on our baseball fields, in our restrooms and other places, and it was obviously very alarming to everybody with a family and anybody who cares about the health and welfare of our public. And so the city manager and staff, along with council, put together these sort of dual tracks of making sure we enforce and protect public space, because when the encampments take over, they form little mini cities, and it becomes a greater and greater burden to the public. But all of those other effects happen as well. So not only we have this anti-camping policy, but we have the dual track CityNet to help provide services directly to the homeless. Every single person who's homeless has a unique and different story and need. And so we are absolutely every single day targeting and meeting with them to try to help. But there are many, many who would prefer to have the independence and the ability to live an independent lifestyle in our homeless situation. But the public does not want our parks to be turned into permanent tent cities or homeless encampments for many reasons.
Is there a place where somebody that doesn't want to be a part of society, so to speak, for them to go to?
Well, they take to the streets in large part because we do have homeless shelters and transitional housing that target and serve families, veterans, emancipated foster kids, etc., that are there to serve. Anaheim has been, we're the first city to open a full-service year-round homeless shelter in the entire county, in the entire county's history. So we are very much there to help, but we also have to make sure the general public is protected as well. And Paul has been absolutely fundamental to that. And so I do have a concern, given that the new makeup of the council, they did not reaffirm support for those anti-camping policies at our very last meeting. And then at this very next meeting, there's a move to terminate the city manager who's been responsible for enforcement. So what does that mean for all of those policies and for our parks and our public spaces?
Even to the point of the people that are, I went to an Angel game just recently, and boy, you go across the freeway after you get off the freeway, and then both sides of the freeway along the riverbed, Now, what does that mean for the young people that want to just ride their bikes down to, I mean, when I was young, we would ride the bike down all the way down to the beach.
The bikeways have been obstructed. We have young people who've overdosed in those tents. There was an outbreak of a viral infection about 6 months ago that had to be treated by county authorities. Now, the riverbed is technically county property, so the city's been doing everything it can to work with the county, but the county does not have the same anti-camping policies in place that the city of Anaheim has enforced.
Just as a rebel that I am, just a fire truck with water probably might discourage people from being there. Just a thought, but you are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, more with Anaheim City Councilwoman Kris Murray and the 5 biggest money mistakes new graduates are making. You can reach us anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter at Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area-trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Isn't it time you found out the truth about FHA-insured home equity conversion? No, it's not your grandfather's reverse mortgage. This just may be the finest financial planning strategy available for all homeowners of retirement age. Helping protect what you've earned is the job of your board of directors with continued education. Major research has shown that using a HECM will significantly enhance the success rate of a retiree's portfolio and legacy. Please allow us to educate. For your complimentary consultation, call Jay Kaplan at 949-300-3855. That's 949-300-3855.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRE NMLS 21707 and 145502 and Cal BRE 0186945 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Word on Wealth segment today being brought to you by the VIP Hero Program, one of my favorite programs. It is for all of our first responders, all of our veterans, active, retired, reserves. There are lots and lots of discounts available from the VIP Hero Program. Go to VIP Hero Program. Might be $20,000, $25,000 for you. Go to VIPHeroProgram.com. Check them out. 5 biggest money mistakes graduates make. Number 1, not having a budget. We've talked about that. Even in high schools and college, they don't get this information, teaching young people about the idea of budgeting, about a rainy day fund. Number 2, living beyond your means. That includes student loan debt. Be careful of that. It is one of the biggest items I see that hinders people from getting a new home mortgage is the student loan debt. Be careful. Nothing wrong with going, we just heard on Harry Sadu with his story on Friday. 2 years of community college before he went to a 4-year school and done pretty well for himself. Think about that concept before you go and get in a lot of debt. Number 3, and this is an ironic one, not taking financial risks. There is a benefit to taking some financial risk, educated risk. That means not having all your money in municipal bonds when you're 20 years old. You might want to have some asset diversification. That's what we mean by financial risk. Save for retirement. Everything is not all about what you're doing today. And retirement could be in your 40s. Doesn't matter what that goal is. Set the goal, budget for it, save for it, and succeed. And think ahead. Again, understand what that emergency fund is. 3 to 6 months of living expenses is a start. Try and work that up to 2 years in some very, very safe liquid investments. That's the idea. Those are some money mistakes that new grads are making. That is brought to you by the VIP Hero program. Continuing our conversation, Kris Murray, Anaheim City Councilwoman, is with us. We're got over a whole lot of different issues this morning. And I share this all the time. I get people asking me, why do I focus so much, especially being a local radio program? And I know that we've got people now that are reaching out to us. Somebody from Florida last week reached out to me with some mortgage questions. So we know we're talking all over the country now. But why do I focus on Anaheim? And it's very simple. Anaheim I look at as a leader in a lot of different areas. You think about sports, you think about business and community, you think about the convention center, the resorts, obviously, big city, a lot of different issues. And you can actually see some of the items that I think work well, some of the items that we've done in Anaheim I'm not a big fan of. And Kris, you and I have talked about many of these. And the idea of districting, I think districting in Anaheim is almost like what they're talking about doing with the fire department, right? I mean, somebody in Ladera Ranch or Mission Viejo, Aliso Viejo, they don't have the same needs as somebody in Stanton, right? And if we outsource Anaheim's fire and rescue to somebody else, it's like saying, what a great job Washington's done with our health care. Right, it's a micro version, I think, and I think Anaheim becomes a micro version of a lot of these things.
Definitely has its advantages. There's no question.
So, with the items going on tomorrow, is it more beneficial for people to show up at the council? Is it more beneficial for people? I mean, if you just show up, no one knows which side of the fence you're on.
Yeah, it's important to make your voice heard in whatever manner.
Respectfully. You and I are on the same page there, respectfully.
Always respectfully, because it just resonates so much better, and not just to the elected officials, but to staff and the community who are listening. So if you can attend in person, that's always the most impactful to the council members, but it is, a time commitment to go down there and wait your turn to speak. But we do have speaker cards to make that a little bit more easier and organized for those who do come down. The other is to email your concerns, and there's one email address that gets the mayor and the entire city council, and that is council@anaheim.net, and it's council@anaheim.net.
And we'll put that on the Facebook page and all of our social media channels as well.
So if you send an email, that is collected by the administrative staff for the city manager's office and the city council, is collected and sent out to the entire council at once.
So a question, just a method or it's not policy, but just understanding how things are done. Mm-hmm. So when you go and vote in city council, if I send an email tomorrow at 3 o'clock, are the decisions already made before you start hearing the public comments, or do they really have some meaning when someone makes a comment?
It really depends on the individual member. It certainly matters to me when the residents weigh in what their concerns are, and I take that to heart. And I really want to know when it's residents and not just special interests trying to influence decisions at City Hall. There are many members who may come in with their minds made up, or they've made commitments to a colleague to vote in a certain way, and that does happen. On a lot of the mundane issues, we've done our research and we're ready and prepared to go there and vote by Tuesday. But on issues that, especially that are scheduled so late, like the termination of the city manager, why that's so important to the residents of Anaheim is the city manager is the person responsible for the functioning management of the city. Every city service we rely on, it's that person's responsibility, his or hers responsibility, to make sure those programs and services are effectively delivered. And when you have political machinations that mess with the operations of the city at that level, it does impact how we function as a city.
As a lay person, would I look at the city manager of Anaheim something similar to like a mayor of Los Angeles, where he has much more...
See, the mayor of Los Angeles, it's a mayoral run form of government.
Right.
He actually has management responsibilities. We have a city charter that is the constitution of the city. It is up to the voters to determine if they want that type of mayor, and they've never asked for it, not once. And we actually just updated and reapproved the charter at the ballot box in 2014.
But I look at it and say, well, you know, in Los Angeles, the mayor has, like you say, the management duties. Here, it's the city manager that has management duties.
The only authority the mayor or any member of the council has over the city manager is the ability to hire or terminate that individual.
With a majority vote.
Right.
Interesting. Okay, so it's very important if you have an interest in the where the fire, who controls the fire.
Been running very, very well. There's no cause to do this, and to do this a month before his regularly scheduled. You know, all of our direct appointees have a regularly scheduled performance review in August. So why this has been calendared for today, the very meeting after the city manager put forward a reaffirmation of our anti-camping policies, is baffling.
Seems odd to me, but I'm just an observer watching, and at least we get to bring the information.
For the residents of Anaheim, we have a city manager who's made sure our budgets are balanced. We've restored police and fire. Our parks are being reseeded and invested with community centers and new facilities. We are really catching up on paving roads. We've done all the service needs that were diminished during the recession. We have caught up under the tenure of the city manager. It would be a real shame to have that kind of shakeup at that level, which will affect every single department in the city of Anaheim.
Sounds like a very interesting night it's going to be for you tomorrow. I thank you for spending your time. I know you've got a lot to do. I know you got to leave from us, but thanks for coming in and spending some time with us.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Kris Murray, Anaheim City Council. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Awesome. Glad to have you with us. And be sure to set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to John, who's engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun, have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.